Well, I used to be the headmaster of the Nansen Academy for 12 years. And as many of you know, Lillehammer hosted the Winter Olympic Games in February 1994. While we were preparing for those games, the war broke out in former Yugoslavia. And we, of course, knew that Sarajevo had hosted the Olympic Winter Games in 1984, 10 years before Lillehammer. And in the summer of 1992, there started in Lillehammer a spontaneous solidarity campaign for Sarajevo. And we formed an organization called Lillehammer Olympic Games, Lillehammer Olympic Aid, where we collected altogether 70 million Norwegian kroner. And we had huge projects in and around Sarajevo and in other parts of former Yugoslavia. In the summer of 1994, in July, I visited Sarajevo for the first time in my life. And I experienced the war and the effects of the war. Coming back to Lillehammer, we asked ourselves, what can we do? Are there anything that we can do to contribute to the peace building when peace comes? And then we started the Nansen Dialogue Project. We invited people from former Yugoslavia to Lillehammer, to the Nansen Academy, to sit around the common table, start to talk about how are we going to build peace together. That's how it all began. Well, writing history and teaching history is very important in any society. And a history writer and a history teacher is a very powerful man or woman. Because looking at the past is also looking at the present. And the one who controls the past also controls the present and have a big influence on the future. One historian has said that behind every nationalistic movement, there is always a mediocre historian. And historians have played an enormous role in every war. I don't believe in any objective writing of history, but I believe in a many-faceted, in a many-perspective writing of history. And it is important that all the important issues come up in the classroom, that the pupils and the teachers are able to discuss the controversial issues from the past. And we know that France and Germany today, pupils in France and Germany, they use today the same history books. They have managed to write a common history book of the region. And France and Germany had waged 3 bloody wars with each other during the last century. So I hope that the history teachers will be much more aware of the power they have, aware of the power they have for good or for bad, and that history may be a subject in the schools that also contribute to peace building. Well, I think that education for peace is important for any society, for any nation. It is important for Norway, and it is important for Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I really do think that if we want to build peace in the 21st century, we have to start in the families, in the neighborhoods, and in the schools. The curriculum that we use in the schools must reflect the fact that we will all live in a multicultural and multi-religious world in the 21st century. In Norway last summer, we experienced a terrible tragedy. A young Norwegian killed with cold blood 77 young Norwegians. And he had this crazy idea that Norway should be a monocultural society, a society where the Muslims should be chased out. That is an idea that in all times have created the worst tragedies and the worst horrors that we know about. Today, when I gave this lecture in Priodor, was on the International Holocaust Memorial Day. The United Nations in 2005 decided that this day, the 27th of January, we should commemorate what happened during the Holocaust. And the 27th of January was the day when the Red Army liberated the concentration camp Auschwitz. And the United Nations said, when they decided to make this day an International Memorial Day, that they wanted to do so that young people should know the causes of the Holocaust and the consequences of the Holocaust. Peace education in any school, in any society, is about knowing more about causes of wars, consequences of wars, and how we can build peace in the future. War and peace in 2050 are decided in schools and families in Norway and in Bosnia-Herzegovina and in all other countries today. It is the present generation growing up that one day will take over. And the human race, the humankind, we have abolished slavery. We have abolished human offering sacrifices. We will also, that is my firm belief, we will also one day manage to abolish wars to solve conflicts between people. It is the most primitive way of solving conflicts that we know about. A primitive way that caused Holocaust, that caused the atrocities in the Balkan countries, that caused also the tragedy in Norway this summer. So I agree fully with what UNESCO, the United Nations Committee on Education, stated in 1948 when they said, "Since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that peace must be constructed." Peace education is about constructing peace in the minds of men. And that is our one and only solution. Because we have to live together in this small world, getting always smaller, with our differences, with the cultural, religious, ethnic differences, and it is a question of coexistence or no existence.